All right, guys, how are we? Sorry for a little action there, but we are back to it. This is episode 2 of the podcast. We are just all over the place, huh? You're seeing that green bar? Good lord, we'll have it straightened out sometime. I don't know why that gave me trouble this time, but this is episode 2 of the podcast. Last week we had Zach Sass here, our owner here at Revenge. It was a lot of fun, and we're hoping to hop right back into it. Of course, had to have some kind of issues going on, but we're ready to get another episode under the way. And tonight, we are talking to my man, Slush. We're going to get him popped up here. Zach did not send me the right thing.
Oh no.
So you're Zach Sass right now.
There we go. I'm totally fine with that.
Oh man. All right, well, we're just gonna roll with it. But yeah, like I said, this is our guy Slush here. He is our director of Rocket League at Revenge. And we're just gonna kind of dive into it, talk about his mindset, let him kind of take you guys through just kind of his mindset. Also touch on the Rocket League side of things, and just kind of go from there. So Slush, I'll let you take the floor here and let us know who you are. Obviously, you're not Zach Sass like our overlay says,
Yeah,
but yeah, let us know.
it's all good. Yeah, so the actual name is Taylor Slusher, but obviously Cap and everybody else in this realm knows me as Slush, but with like 3 U's. Which funny story on that is I guess on Steam they had Slush, and so like I kept typing in like U's just to like actually have that name, and somebody had it with Slush with 2 U's, believe it or not,
Mm-hmm.
and so Slush with 3 U's ended up sticking. So over time, I've had Slush, Sloosh, all the above. I don't really care which one. I have recently changed my gamer ID though to T Slush, just because that's my actual like nickname growing up was T Slush or T or just Slush, so all the above. Um, but yeah, I've been in esports for a long. I mean, not for a long time, but I've been playing Rocket League for a while. I mean, Cap, when you and I first met, I was attempting to be a competitive
Yeah.
Rocket League player. At that time, I think I had just hit GC, like officially for like the first time, which was season 3. But obviously, with school, with me graduating college just recently, um, I mean, it just kind of came to an end. I'm not a youngster. I'm not 17, 16, 15, or anything like that. So I don't have the ability to play like I did when I was at that age. So I definitely had to put down the stakes, but that's where you came in, actually. So when I realized that I wasn't going to be gaming like I used to, I wasn't going to be able to put in the hours that I had. I definitely wanted to get into esports and like actually uh, find some type of position that would stick. Um, and you and I and others were a part of that. And definitely up until this point, definitely grateful that you guys have had me on and show what kind of mind that I have. So
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely been a blessing, for sure, to bring you on. And uh, I actually just got the new overlay, so I'm gonna see if I can't switch this real quick, and that way people can truly know who you are.
there we go.
Okay, and just like that, we're good, folks. Just like that, just a flick of the wrist. Zach, thanks for coming through with that. Definitely make sure we get that going next time. But yeah, to just kind of get back to it, like Slush said, we've known each other for a while. Um, yeah, when I first knew Slush, he was just some dude that was cracked out at Rocket League, and I didn't understand the game, and I was like, cool, cool, man. You do that. Read the shirt, excuses. It actually says no excuses, but I guess if you're like this, then I can have excuses. But but yeah, I mean, as Slush said, we got him involved with Revenge here, which was kind of a long time coming thing, like from the start. But yeah, ever since, our Rocket League side of esports is very much organized thanks to Slush right here, and then also our Rocket League manager Ohio, who's done a phenomenal job. And then we had Poke step in, and we had our first bi-weekly $100 tourney last week that Ohio and Poke, and along with Zach, our owner, have really headed up and
Mhm.
had a great turnout for that. So again, that's something big for us because, right, I mean, just to touch on the revenge side of things, is were a lot different than the original Revenge. I mean, they were very FPS based, and the fact that right now, as it stands, Rocket League is our main esport. It's the one we're most active in. We, have built somewhat of a community around it, and in hopes that we can continue to build that community through our tournaments and outreach on that side of things. But yeah, it's been great. I mean, Rocket League's been a game that I'm still very mediocre at, but it's a lot of fun. I understand it more now, and it's one of those esports that's really fun to watch, really. Um, but um, but yeah, if you're ready, Slush, we'll hop right into these questions, man.
Let's
I
go.
hope
I'm
you're ready.
ready.
I hope you're ready. All right. So our first question is, what sets you apart from others? Whether that's you can touch on your IRL job. I know a lot of us know
Mhm.
what you do around here, or just in the esports realm, like what you think sets you apart from others, maybe in the same position as you, or kind of in that realm.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say, I mean, well, I'll kind of go in steps. So like personality wise, like I've always been ever since I grew up, or ever since I was real little.
Mm-hmm.
I have a twin sister. If you didn't know that, shout out Morgan. She's not watching, but I'm just gonna shout her out anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Um, but as we were growing up, definitely in middle school and especially in high school, we were always known as chatterboxes. I mean, we could never shut up. I mean, we're just fortunate for me. At this particular point in time, I know when to stop. I know how to be a little bit more concise and consolidated with things. For my twin sister, not so much. She just goes and goes and goes. I mean, the quick story: there was a fire truck parked outside my parents' house, and she so desperately wanted to go talk to them to see what they were doing. And like to me, I understood. Like we're very friendly people. My family's always been like the family within the larger family. Like we host everything. We're the people that always trying to keep up with other family members, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
if anything, just in terms of a person, one thing that sets me off is I'm very friendly. I have like no ego. I am just who I am, and I talk to everybody the same way. Doesn't matter who they are, kind of thing. So there's that. And then in terms of IRL, I knew this very early on. I wanted to get into uh, something related to construction. My dad actually was in the field. Was in the labor in the field. He poured concrete for a living, and he did buildings all downtown Kansas City, Missouri. Which, if you guys don't know, that's where I'm from, Kansas City, Missouri. But I currently live in Seattle, Washington. Um,
Left us.
but I know. Sorry, but hey, at least we got to meet each other up at Level Up Arena. So,
Absolutely.
what was it? Once or twice? I can't remember.
Uh, once, yeah. Yeah, once. I think it was once. But
Yeah,
um, but yeah, no, it was definitely a good time for sure.
yeah. So Mamba corrected me. I'm from Independence, Missouri, but no, we
Kansas
don't need to
City
share that
area.
part. Yeah, definitely. It's like 25 minutes from the downtown core.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but nonetheless, I knew I wanted to get into something. I didn't know what that was, but then whenever it was like my junior year of high school, um, I was still able to kind of figure those things out. I started with engineering, and I'll just be honest with you, I hated it. Like I'm not bad with math by any means, but I did not enjoy the. I just didn't enjoy it. Especially the main software that we had to use. I just didn't enjoy it. I could use it. I wasn't the best at it, but I could use it. And then I switched. So I switched to a course named Architecture and Civil Engineering, and I just loved it. It was. I wouldn't say it was easier. I mean, the class was easier by far. Okay, the class was easier by far. But what I would say is I just enjoyed the creativity that it allowed. And so I ended up pursuing that my senior year. And then going into college, I went to University of Missouri, Kansas City, and started architecture, urban planning, and design major. And that, although it was at UMKC, I was actually a Kansas State University student. And so after 2 years, I ended up transferring to K State.
Mm.
And for anybody out, anybody watching that's a fan of KU, that's a fan of Mizzou, definitely respect to have nothing against those schools, but I'll always bleed purple for sure. I'll always bleed purple, and I definitely enjoyed being a Wildcat while I was there. Um, but yeah, so now after graduation, I moved to Seattle, Washington, and I can't call myself an architect, believe it or not, because I don't have my license. So that is another thing. I have to take a license, just like a lawyer has to take a license to actually execute what they do.
Yeah.
For me to be able to like stamp drawings or be like a senior associate or an architect principal, I have to have a license, and it's like 6 exams that I have to take, and they're really I heard they're difficult, but they've made it easier for people now in the digital age to take it.
It's just
Um,
pretty much a money pool to just basically prove yourself again.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. But see, that's the kicker. In my profession, that's where you want to go to a firm that is willing to like reimburse you for taking the exams, because obviously the exams cost money, but depending on the firm you go to, there's some out there that will reimburse you on past exams. So if you yeah, you pass them, they basically give you the money back. If
Yeah.
you fail them, well,
Yeah,
I
that's a
mean,
different story.
it's a lose lose. So I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, so as of right now, I can't call myself an architect. So my official title is design professional, but I literally do anything under the sun that they ask me, whether it's documentation with floor plans all the way from design development into the construction process, visionary stuff like diagrams for clients, renderings, those pretty pictures that get posted to news outlets, in your towns. If there's a
Mm.
new building, they do renderings. I do those as well. There's certain people out there that are professionals at that. I would not consider myself a professional, but I know how to create some that are halfway decent. But that's obviously what I do. But on the flip side, obviously the reason why I'm here is because I do have a niche in Rocket League. I enjoy it to say the least, just like you enjoy Warzone on Call of Duty. Definitely love it. I know Warzone is kind of touchy, or Call of Duty is kind of touchy right
Let's
now.
just go with FPS. I'll go with
Yeah.
FPS. Yeah, I've
um,
definitely been dodging that here lately, but
yeah,
yeah,
I totally understand that.
yeah.
But yeah, obviously, funny thing was I did not pick up Rocket League until my third year of college. There was a guy that I met that was a player for K State's like collegiate team,
Hmm.
which at that point in time, I think like the standard was usually collegiate teams were a bunch of like at minimum Champ 3 to like GC2 or something like that. But at that particular time, GC was like the rank.
Hmm.
There was no SSL. So like pros were Grand Champ. And so I met him, and in my architecture studio, I was surrounded by three guys that every Monday, Wednesday, Friday after our studio session ended at 5 p.m., they would instantly get on Rocket League. And obviously, I'm sitting here like, I don't know these people, but maybe this is a cool like icebreaker of me actually meeting them. And yeah, so I downloaded the game and I just played for fun, like after class sometimes with them. And the guy that played collegiately, like he was really good. Don't get me wrong, but now him and I are the same rank, and I'm just like, holy crap! Like I did not think, like
Yeah.
me sitting there in that chair and downloading the game for the first time, I didn't think I was gonna get like I'm not amazing by any means. Like I'm literally just a GC1. Obviously, there's people that we have under Revenge that are a lot better than I am
Oh yeah.
for
Oh.
obvious reasons. But I did not think I was going to take the game that serious. I just thought it was going to be a game that I could just play for fun,
Hmm.
and just vibe out with friends, play customs, or just run ranked casual, you know, with a group of people. But it quickly I think I just got so enamored with the game that when I actually like ranked up higher than some of my friends, I just started to, I don't know, I just kept playing. I stopped playing with them a little bit. I kept playing and I started, that's when I was jumped from like Plat 2 to like Diamond 1, then Diamond 2. And then a good friend of mine was Diamond 3 and I started playing with him. And then me and him were able to grind all the way up to GC 1. And then now we're here. I don't play very much. And so now basically I've resorted to playing with friends again. So I don't care if you're a Gold 3. I don't care if you're SSL. I just play with whoever. It's really fun. But it is really interesting to go smurf into like, I don't know, like plat lobbies, gold lobbies, diamond lobbies. They're all different. They all do different things.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny seeing it from like, and that's the same thing with like SSLs when they go down to GC. Like I'm talking at it at my point of view, but like Steel, for instance, Spatial, for instance, Sarge, whoever, if they when they come down to GC1, they're like, oh, what the hell? Like, what is going on? Like they don't know. Like we just do different things. We're a lot of times there's a lot of players that are ball chasing. It is what it is. But yeah. So if there's anything for people to take from, is I'm very friendly. I do well with people. That's why I'm a studying architect. Like we have to be good with people.
Mm.
Profession, I'm a studying architect, and obviously on the side. And honestly, I really hope that this does become a long-term career. I'm director of Rocket League
Yeah.
for us. So
Yeah, no, I mean, to kind of touch on a couple things that you said. First of all, the closest I've ever got to being an architect was, scribbling on a block of wood how we were going to do something, maybe throwing a couple measurements on there. So if you guys don't know, I work construction. That is my IRL job. So Slush and I always kind of go back and forth, like how
yep.
different. First of all, I live in a smaller community, so Slush is out
Mm.
here sketching these big buildings, and we're just working on somebody's bathroom or something. But
Yeah.
it's definitely two different directions on that. And then just to touch on like kind of like what you said about Rocket League, because I actually played Rocket League early in the game, and I wasn't horrible at it. Like I did pretty good, but just kind of like how Fortnite started, you built a box
Yeah.
and you were good, and then 6 months later, if you didn't know how to crank 90s and edits, you're lost. You're not good at the game. And that's kind of like Rocket League. I've heard people. The more I've stayed around the Rocket League scene and talked to more people, is that game has gradually changed a lot. I mean, there's things
Oh
that
yes.
people are doing with their cars in that game that if you look back 2 or 3 years ago, that people would be like, "Wow, how did you do that? Why? What is that mechanic?" I mean, it's definitely changed a lot, and I think that goes with anything, right? I mean, everything gradually changes as we go along, and you gotta, you know, you either work at it and get better and roll with the punches, or you fall behind. And again, I think that can be, put into anything really. So, um, but we're gonna keep it moving. So another, as Zach would say, now that I think the first one he said was a weighted question, but again, these questions are more open ended. Like I want people to be creative with them and let us know like who you truly are. Um, but the next question would be who and or what drives you to be the best version of yourself. So whether that's a person, a place, a
Hmm.
thing, whatever.
So that it's a two-parter, and it might be a bit cringe or pretty standard, but I'm gonna start with the first group of people, and that's gonna be my parents. I
Mm,
mean, they have at the very beginning, I was kind of upset with them, believe it or not. I was very involved in sports growing up, so I played everything. I mean, at a rec level, I played everything, but I played baseball and basketball in high school. And I had always told them, like, I was playing sports when I was in kindergarten, dude. Like, I just wanted to do anything, any sport, didn't matter. I played soccer for 10 years. So it's kind of ironic that I circled back to car soccer, if you will.
yeah, yeah.
But and I was actually really good, by the way, at soccer. Like the guys that I played with, when I quit, the guys that I played with went varsity. So like I picked the wrong sport
Hmm.
to go to, and I was considered like at their level on our team, like at their level. We were the trio of the team,
Hmm.
and I just ended up stopping because I wanted to play baseball. Obviously, what I should have known is if you want to be good at baseball, like you have to start super early. or
Yeah.
you're not going to go to college for it. Like you got to start. I just think baseball is one of the hardest sports to get into. That's just my opinion, just because what you have to learn, the reflexes, like training your eye to go from, you know, going from hitting 45, 50 miles an hour. Then if you want to go to college, you have to hit 90-mile-an-hour fastballs. Like, okay, I was never able to hit over like 75. I think like
Yeah.
that was my cutoff.
Uh,
Um, Especially left-handed pitchers that could throw 75, I was donezo. Like their two seams just went away every time. It was crazy. But I would say definitely, to get back on track, I would say my parents, because although they were rough and they did not support, like financially, they didn't support when it came to sports. Um, they really went above and beyond when it came to college. Like, so looking back at it now, I could see where their priorities were. They definitely wanted me to get into college, get into something that would be profitable when I got out of college. Because there's a lot of degrees out there. Like, no one should ever tell you that college is the answer, because even somebody that went to college, like I'll tell you right now, there's so many jobs out there. Like, shoot, one of my best friends, his name's Leo. He's a
mhm.
car salesman in Independence Chevrolet. I mean, the what he's doing for his little family that he has now is incredible, and he didn't go to college for that. Like, it's a job that he picked up probably after high school, or maybe even during high school, like senior year. And now he's doing very well. So you don't need college to get a fancy job. You know, you can do one, you can do crypto and stocks full time. You don't have to go to college to do that. If you just know the market and you really do studying, like you can get there. But at least for me, like they definitely like they supported that. They paid my first 2 years of college, which is a huge pick me up.
Mhm.
Even though I have like $70,000, like I
Hey,
still have to
it
pay
could have been
off.
worse. It could have been worse.
I, I know it could have been over 100 for
Exactly.
crying out
Exactly.
loud. Um, but as of right now, they've definitely been a huge help. And it kind of sucks me being away from home, because I'm the only one, a part of my family, that is away from the Kansas City, Missouri area.
Hmm.
Like literally, we don't have people in Kansas City, Kansas. The farthest away that we have is Liberty, Missouri. I
Yeah.
think no, Liberty, Missouri, and Buckner. Those are the extents of my family.
Okay.
And so it's been pretty difficult with the move, being here, being away from them. But that brings me to the second person, and that is going to be my girlfriend. Um, for people that don't know, she has lived here since we were 8 months into our relationship, and we are going on 5 year, or we've already eclipsed 5 years together.
Hmm.
And so we've had to do long distance for 4 years. And so obviously, I'm not gonna, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, okay? Like it was tough.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
At first, it was FaceTiming like every 30 minutes.
Mm.
If I didn't FaceTime her or she didn't FaceTime me, like it was just weird. And I always like to poke fun at her, because after like 2 or 3, or after like 2 years of us doing it, like all of a sudden, like we just hated being on the phone. We would go, a day or two without even FaceTiming. Like we just got tired of it, because at that point in time I was able to live up here during an 8 month internship, and I was working at the same company that I am right now. And that's when we really truly realized, like, long distance sucks.
Yeah.
Like it is not fun. Like obviously we did it because we were committed, but like it's horrible. The
No.
FaceTiming is horrible. It's not the same. So after I left, like before the internship, we were already phasing out of like FaceTiming as much. And then when I got back home from living there for 8 months, like we barely talked. Like we would text each other throughout the day and everything, and that's all it was. But obviously, she's been able to stick by my side all the way through. And then now, I'm the one that's working. She's in school. Currently, she's in the medical field, but she's attempting to be a dentist.
Hmm.
And so we have our own place now, two bedroom apartment. We have two dogs also, so we have a little family. I would pull both my pit bulls over here, but they're sick and sleeping in our bedroom.
No. No. No.
Um,
Let them be.
but yeah, yeah. So those one group of people definitely drives me, but also Destiny, my girlfriend by my side, she definitely drives me to be honestly to be better what I was before the day before. Um, yeah, obviously got to throw in my twin sister. Like she's my best friend, so definitely miss our uh, our times living together. And then obviously she has her own family, so right now it really sucks because I have seven combined nieces and nephew, and two of them were born a month after I left Kansas City,
Mm,
and so I haven't met two one niece and one nephew. I haven't met, so it kind of sucks.
yeah. Yeah, no,
So
I feel that. I mean, heck, I'm where I'm at. I'm only like 45, 40 minutes away from my hometown, and even 40 minutes is is a long ways, or too much sometimes because I don't get back to see my family probably as often as I should. We try to make plans, but man, I know one thing is everybody has their own stuff going on. Like it's hard, and even some of you guys that may be in chat and are just transferring or just getting out of high school and like everybody's going to college and getting away from each other or whatever, like it's just a crazy transition really, right? Because you're like in high school and stuff, you hung around that same group, you guys were with each
right,
other. Like I know there's a lot of guys that I played sports with and we were together every day. Like we all played football, baseball, basketball, or sorry, football, basketball, baseball. So throughout the year and over the summer, like we were just together all the time. And then once we all kind of started going our separate ways, it's completely different. And but that's a cool thing about maturing and growing up is you learn that. Like I have friends that have already started, have a couple kids, have their own little family going, and it's awesome. I'm super happy, but it also, all of us getting all this stuff going just kind of cuts into your time you used to have to spend with them. But I think that is the great thing about what we have going on here at Revenge and just in general with esports or gaming is there are so many people like Slush that I would consider some of my best friends, really good friends of mine. And, there's sometimes during the week where I would say most weeks that I talk to more people over the internet or in a
yep,
Discord call than I would even any of my friends around this area. Um, Not my girlfriend; she would kick my ass if that was the case. But
yep,
no, but yeah, I mean, it's I think that's one of the coolest things ever. Met a lot of cool people through this, and it's definitely been a
yep,
blessing. So, but
yeah, I agree.
before we jump into our last question, and then if you guys haven't been here before, I have three main questions that we go over, just to keep a little structure in here so we don't get crazy. And then we'll just transfer into you guys as a chat, whether it's asking more questions about what we've already talked about, bringing up a new topic. Obviously, as long as it's stream safe, we will chat about it. But after we talk through the last question is when we will go into the chat. Excuse me, but I had to stop us because, as you guys can see, I'm rocking the Revenge Dad hat, and if you guys look right down there, you'll see that you can use code TRFAM for 10% off. But if you guys didn't get to see my picture yesterday on my Twitter, I went sledding with my girlfriend and her family and her two nephews, and the hoodie was great. It was perfect for that. So it's cold weather certified. It's great. But no, truthfully, I love our apparel. That's biased as hell, but I love it. I think it's pretty sharp. Love the color scheme. Can't really rock a bunch of red because I have this stuff going on. Kind of clashes with the hair, but no, I love it. And if you guys get a chance, obviously it's a way to support us in a couple different ways. But yeah, I would definitely at least check it out and maybe get us something lined up. Um, but to go into our last question for you, Slush, and again, this can go any which direction you want, IRL or this or both. Is there a recipe for success?
Wow, that's a loaded question, dude. Um, I mean, I think it's pretty simple. And I'm gonna use both esports and my IRL experiences, and I'm going to tailor it to my architecture degree
Mm-hmm.
first. So truly, if you like, and I think it's a analogy to life too, but if you want to be successful, you just got to put in the work. I mean, that's really all it is. I'm not the smartest guy on the block. I'm fully transparent. I scored a 21 on my ACT. Like, I didn't score 28, a 30, a 32, or anything like that. I wasn't the guy that was finishing first on exams and passing with flying colors. I was none of that.
Yeah.
But when I got into college, I also obviously didn't. I'm a first generation in my family, so like I had no idea what I was expecting. Um, Obviously, if you're a first gen, probably some of the standard things you know about college is like all the fraternities, sororities, partying, all that good stuff. UMKC is not a party school by any means, so I didn't really have that mindset going in. But I will say the architecture degree is really really difficult. It's up there with the med program in terms of time consumed outside of like standard classes,
Mm-hmm.
but we also take just as many credits. So it's really normal for an architecture major and a med major to take like 18 to 20 credit hours a semester, and for an architecture major, it's not the credits that you take, it's everything outside of your credits that go into if you're going to be a successful architect or not. And what I mean by that is the way architecture in college is set up is similar to sports, and that's why I think I succeeded was because I truly believe success happens in the dark. It doesn't happen when because you're showing it all off on social media. Like if all my IRL friends, anyone that really knows me, I went dormant on social media for 4 years. I did nothing. Like I used to be that kid. Like if I don't tweet something every day, like people's gonna forget about me, all that kind of stuff. But when I got into college, I forgot about all that. Like who cares? Like who cares? Like do your thing, whatever you're trying to do, either it's school or your job, just focus on that. That's all that should matter. If somebody doesn't like you in IRL, it is what it is. There's plenty of people that's going to like you. So I quickly just like architecture fully consumed me. That's another thing. You need to let things consume you. Find what you're passionate in, whatever that may be, and just go 110, 150%. Like just find what that is. And for me, I will say like I found it early on and I just shot an arrow through it and I just went full force.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I will say from the people that weren't successful were the people that didn't put in the time
Yeah.
and they weren't passionate in it. It's really hard for you to be committed to something if you feel like you're forced into it, or you feel like, or you just don't want to do it, you know? And that's all it comes down to. So obviously things are tough, even when you're committed to something, whether it's esports or either it's life or either it's your job. Like even if you enjoy it, there's going to be rough patches, even through like sports for me, like playing basketball and baseball. um there's going to be times where it's going to be tough, but you just got to find, that's where the passion comes in. If you're passionate in something, no matter what happens along your path, you're going to find yourself back on the path. So but if you're not passionate in it, you're going to find the first excuse to get out of it. It happens every time. Oh, my car broke down, so I'm not going to go. Exactly, no excuses. um but there was just so many people in my major, dude, that I could tell super early on they didn't really want to be an architect. They weren't completely invested into it. They weren't getting the passion for it either. So once the major really started kicking in, and we call it production week,
Mm-hmm.
and we also call it architecture boot camp, which happens like 2 times a semester.
Uh-huh.
um, you go through an excruciating period of 2 weeks where you're averaging 2 hours of sleep. So you're crushing Red Bulls, Monsters, any caffeine that you could get, you're crushing that. And it is, now that I'm out of school, I love it because I actually kind of miss it because I had the most success when I put everything to the side, relationship, family, IRLs, everything. And I just focused on, okay, I have a deadline in 2 weeks. We have what's called production week. And I need to get A to B. And what that is I need to complete a damn project.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that's symbolic to life. You have A to B. Wherever you want to go, you want to finance that new car, you want to get a new home, which both of those I'm trying to do right now. And it's pretty difficult.
Yeah.
But no matter what it is, you're thinking long term, right? You want to have a family, you want to start a family, or you want to get that new job. You got to figure out what's in your way and make sure that you can get through it. And for me, there was a lot of people that when those production weeks first started, they took that as the excuse to get out of Dodge, and just to basically they forfeited the project because they knew that was going to be their last semester. And then they went and either dropped out of college or just majored in something completely different. So no matter what, it's all about commitment and passion. Like if you have the passion, everything else follows. That's number one. If you have passion, everything else follows. And then obviously you have to be committed, and there's going to be lack of sleep. If you want to be successful, there's going to be lack of sleep at some point.
Oh yeah.
I will say you don't have to wake up at like 3 or 4 a.m. Um, like because a lot of times people will say that, but then in realistically, like they go to bed at 8 p.m. So like they're still getting like 7 hours of sleep. If that my math is correct, it's probably not. I just spitballed a number.
Yeah, you're
Um,
correct.
but basically, it just comes down. You're at some point you're gonna have a lack of sleep. At some point, your schedule from a day-to-day basis is gonna be stuffed. But that passion and that ability to see things through, you got to get to that point basically. And it's same for esports, it's same for life, it's same for your job. For us at Revenge, what I'm really excited about here, I'm going through the exact same process. I understand where we're currently at, and I have, obviously short-term goals, but then I also have long-term goals. And I have to figure out, just with my IRL job in here, I got to figure out where do I want us to be at in 6 months?
Yeah.
Where do I want us to be at in a year, 2 years, 3 years? Obviously, you and I can sit here all day. We want Revenge to be at the pinnacle. We want to be up there with, NRG phase, like all them. But obviously, in the Rocket League sense, I want to be obviously I want us to be in the top 16. But
Yeah.
obviously, how do you get there? It's steps. So obviously, we want to get to day two, then we want to get to day three, and then we want to get into the crack into the top 16. But obviously, on the business side of things, there's things that have to get there. But obviously, that's where you want to be in a year, and then 2 years, and all of a sudden, if you just follow the steps, you're going to be looking at this podcast in 2 years, and you're going to be like, "Hey, I actually fulfilled what I wanted to do." So it's a process. It can be lengthy. And another thing, one last key thing that guess would be like the third bulletin. There's no shortcuts. Um, it's very success is volatile. There's going to be failures, and then there's going to be moments that you're on cloud nine. You think you're on the top. You're on, you're the top of the world,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to come crashing down. And what's happening is that you're developing a consistency level. You're experiencing highs and lows, but at the same time, as long as um, you're taking 2 steps forward and only 1 step back, that's critical. Only fail once, and then take 2 steps forward. If you fail twice, something's wrong. You got to figure out what's wrong. You should
Yeah.
not be failing twice, especially at the same thing. You got to figure out what's wrong in the system and then propel yourself forward. Because obviously, you don't have to be a mathematician. If you fail only once and you have 2 successes following that, you should be trending in a linear fashion up. So that's the key goal.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you're not doing that, then you're either going to go stagnant and you're going to get depressed. You're going to not be confident in yourself, and then obviously over an extended period of time, you're not going to find yourself in the where you want to be.
Yeah. No,
So
I think the one of the biggest things that people can take away from this podcast today is they got a math lesson and advice all in the same thing. I mean, that's insane. But no, I'm actually really glad you said there's no such thing as shortcuts, because let's be honest, the world we live in today and some people's mentalities is they're just trying to find the quickest way. You get on Facebook and click this ad and it's going to tell you how you can make $100,000 in a week and all these
yes,
different things, right? And like I say it all the time, there's a grind to everything. And like you said, goals are a great thing. Goals are fantastic, whether it's daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, anything, any time frame you want to look at, as long as it's, I say you want to make it realistic, but you also, want to make it so you have to work your ass off to reach that. And
Right.
if you're not willing to push yourself, then you're not going to. And I know for a fact, and anybody that's been involved in esports knows that you are gonna lose sleep if you want to be successful. Whether
Yeah.
whether it's a content, you're a content creator, you're streaming, it's going great, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna sacrifice a couple hours of sleep, keep this thing going.
Yeah.
Or whether it's late calls and dissecting different things, I mean, you're gonna lose sleep for sure. But that's just part of the grind. I mean, like I said, there's a grind to everything, and you got to be
Yeah.
committed to it. And if you're not, then like you said, you got to readjust your path, or go a different way. So, but no, I'm glad you said that, Slush. That was great.
Yeah. I mean,
Definitely.
I'm not. I guess I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say that I haven't stayed. There's times I stayed up till 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the morning
Yeah.
playing Rocket League. Like it happens.
Yeah.
Like if you want to be that good at something and you get passionate about it, sleep just becomes. I mean, it's just a thing. Like obviously you want sleep. You want a good, healthy amount of sleep so that your mind can process at the rate that it should. Right? A lack of sleep can do bad things to you. Obviously in performance, but obviously health wise
Oh yeah.
also.
Yeah.
But
Physically for
at the
sure.
same but at the same time, like if you understand it's only for a short period of time. For me to get to from A to B, like sacrifice that short period of time, get what you have to get done, and then on the other side, it's going to be so rewarding. Like I can't tell you, there was a particular like class, not class model, but there was a like we always had to make uh, models for our production.
Hmm.
That's the thing that took the longest time. The longest model I ever that took me was 2 weeks. I spent 2 weeks. I went from Thanksgiving break. That's how committed I was. I didn't go. I mean, I was home for Thanksgiving, but I didn't spend Thanksgiving spending with family during this period of time. I
Hmm.
was in my studio, getting a head start on the model that I was making for my design, and it took me 2 weeks
Hmm.
and I knew it was going to take me a while because I knew how difficult my design in the building was that I created, how difficult it was to make the model. So I got a head start. Unfortunately, it took a little bit too long on the model, and so the drawings that I had to make were kind of not up to my standard at least. But at the same time, like you just gotta understand, it's a short period of time that you're gonna have to grind through. But hey, I was a gamer too, still am. I still play from time to time. Uh, 4, 5, 6 a.m. in the morning, I'm not susceptible to that. Like I did that all the time. It was a everyday thing. Like my parents would come down, my mom would look at me like dead in the eyes and just shake her head, not say anything, just shake her head and then just walk and go make coffee. And the funniest thing was as soon as she walked by, I'd give it like 4 or 5 seconds. And I was like, hey, can you get out a cup for me?
Oh Lord.
And she just, every time she just lost it. And she would obviously make me a cup of coffee. Uh, but I
Yeah.
will say, I saw the most growth in Rocket League 2. Like, I I didn't like I was surpassing friends that were like GC1. Like I was starting to surpass them also just because of the amount of hours that I was putting in. And that's just a recipe. Like you at the end of the day you got to put the hours in. There is a book. I'm going to plug a book. I don't know if you've read it, but I had to read it for my AP Lang class in high school. It's called Outliers. It goes through the exact same thing. It talks about Michael Jordan and it talks about a lot of famous people and why they're successful.
Hmm.
And the commonality, the common denominator in that book is hours. You have to put the hours in. You think Michael Jordan just woke up and was that great? No, like my favorite person is Kobe Bryant. Like rest in peace.
Oh
He
yeah.
is my favorite all time player just because he did everything in the dark. Like you didn't like if you heard things like obviously he let his game speak for himself, but like there would be times where he like there's a story where he called up his trainer at like 2 in the morning and he wanted to go and get access to the gym. Like there's not a players even in professional sports that are willing to sacrifice sleep get in the gym 2, 3 in the morning, get a full 2 hour workout in. Like, I mean, there was guys showing up at 5, 6 in the morning for practice, and this guy's drenched in sweat, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Dude, are you fucking kidding?" Excuse my language, but
It's all right.
like that's what it takes. So like, Outliers was one of my favorite books, even though it was forced upon me. I'm glad I read it just because if there is one thing that should be consistent, you put in the hours. If obviously you have to have the passion to put in the hours. I mean,
Yeah.
those have to go side by side. But if you can put in the hours, find something that you can just grind at, get those hours in. Outwork anybody like The Rock or Kobe or anybody. Like they'll always say, like, I'm not gonna let the next person outwork me. You have to have that mentality. And so architecture was always super competitive. So
Yeah.
whenever I showed up to studio and there was another person in there before me, I was always kind of ticked off. Inside, I was like, I should have been here 30 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
Who knows if it was 30 minutes? They could have been there 2 hours prior.
Yeah.
But I always try to be the first person, either there or the person that didn't leave, essentially. I
Yeah.
just wanted to be that guy that spent the most time there.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite Kobe Bryant stories actually, Jay Williams tells it. If you guys know who that is, he's on, a lot of
Yep.
ESPN and coverages and stuff. And he was talking about he went to get a workout in before his game against Kobe, and Kobe is already in there. He was already sweating pretty good or whatever. So he's like, man, this dude's already been in here for God knows how long. And so Jay Williams said he went in there. He started working out. He got like an hour workout in. He's about to be done. He looked over, and Kobe's still going. And he's like, well, I guess I'll keep going. So Jay Williams puts in another hour work, looks over, Kobe's still going. Jay goes and sits down. Kobe kept working out for like another half hour, 45 minutes. And Kobe finally comes over, and Jay stops him and he says, hey, man, how long were you here before I was? He's like, oh, probably an hour or two. And he's like, oh, man. He's like, so you usually work out 4 or 5 hours for games? He's like, no, I just had to top you.
Pretty
He
much.
literally just wasn't going to let Jay Williams be the last one to leave the floor.
Yeah.
So he just continued to work his ass off while Jay Williams sat there, taking his shoes off, resting up or whatever. And I mean, that's why there's the Mamba mentality.
Yeah.
Simply put. And it's funny that you say, you plugged that book because Zach said there was not a book for success. But I don't truly think like the way Zach broke it down is there's not an 1, 2, 3 like each step.
Right.
People take different steps at different times. You're gonna go through different motions than others. You're gonna have different things happen to you, get in your way of your goals. And I think, like you said, it's basically, there's characteristics, mentality. Those are like two things that, they stand out when it comes to someone being successful. Is their mentality, the way they carry themselves, and the way they go about things on a day-to-day basis. So definitely glad you brought that up. But yeah, that Jay Williams story, I mean, I've
I
seen
love
it.
it,
I've
man.
seen it 10, 15 different times, and every single time I watch it, even though I know exactly
Mhm.
what's gonna happen. But
Well, there's
but
more than one story that's just like that. I mean, there's so many with Kobe that like it's just in
oh, and
every
that
almost it's probably like an everyday thing. Like his trainer like quite literally was like, dude, you gotta stop working out at this time. Like his
hmm
trainer didn't want to do it, but obviously the trainer's getting paid to, cater to Kobe Bryant. Like I don't think you're gonna tell the man no. But
hmm
uh but obviously there is no recipe or like really for sure way to do things. But in my opinion, of course, I just think the first thing you have to find what you're passionate in, and then everything else will follow. Because obviously it's a lot easier to be committed to something. It's a lot easier to put in the hours, what it put the time in that's needed to be successful. You have to be passionate in that. And obviously if you're passionate, then it's going to be fun. It's not going to feel like work. It's not going to feel like you're not going to be looking at the clock every 30
yeah,
minutes.
be miserable.
uh, yeah, it is what it is. So as
Yeah,
long as you're passionate, if there's anything, you just need to find your passion, and that's all it is. Like obviously, everyone's parents out there have probably said that a million times. Just, just Jimmy, find out what you're passionate about. It's true. Like like any friend, like I have a close friend of mine, his brother's like been struggling, like trying to figure things out. And I said, well, dude, just it's some people find it easier than others. Everybody's different, right? Like
Yeah.
everyone has a reason why they're doing what they're doing. I have a reason why I wanted to pursue architecture. You have a reason why you wanted to pursue roofing, construction, all the above. And so there's a reason why I didn't want to do engineering. But I mean, there's just a reason for everything. But at the same time, if you're passionate in it, then if I'm not passionate in architecture, I'm not going to do it. Like I'll pay off my college loans and find something else because I know wherever I find that passion in, I'm going to put the hours in. I do know that at least
Mm.
to my ability. I will put the hours in. I was passionate in school. Obviously, I'm in the profession now and I still enjoy it and I still have a passion for it, but obviously there's goals everywhere you go. Like for Revenge, I have goals um, for NAC Architecture, where there's the firm that I work at. I have goals for myself and for them. Like I want to be the best person I can be, but I can't be that if I'm not passionate in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So,
No,
like if you
exactly.
asked me to be like a COD or FPS related like esport thing, like I'd be like, nah, like that's just not my forte. Like I'm not passionate in that. Like Rocket League, I'm passionate in. I love the boys that we have, and definitely want to see them succeed. So shout out to the boys if they're watching Steel, Spatial, Sarge, and all the other ones that were with us prior. So definitely want to see everybody succeed. And honestly, I do find a passion in building this and building something and seeing them perform and perform better than we expected. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. No, I appreciate that insight. I hope everyone else does as well. But yeah, just to kind of close this up, guys. We're gonna just open the floor up. So if you're in chat, have questions for me or Slush or both, or just have a topic you guys kind of want us to expand on, we can dive into that for a little bit, and just carry that out. So let me know in chat if you guys have anything. And if you don't, we will close this out and get out of here for the night. Spear Cry, Steel, huh? Who else we got in
no,
here?
I didn't realize Steel was in here.
Yeah, Steel's in here. Spear Cry, Mamba. We don't have a. Just let you guys know. Great job. Oh well, we appreciate that, man. I know that this was your first time in here, or at least your first time chatting, and we appreciate that. Again, our goal here is to provide you guys, for you guys that like to watch this live, you can be here, you can hear everything we're saying. I mean, heck, you can take notes if you want to. I don't know, we're always gonna chop these up into clips, so you guys can have that to go back to, and then the VOD will always be live or released on YouTube by I believe Friday or Saturday of each week. So there's going to be a lot of resources for you guys to go back and pick up on what we said or dive into it. But yeah, Spear, we really appreciate that. Again, it's something new to us that we wanted to dive into. But this is truly podcast and just mentality, mindset, just simply getting to interact and talk to people. For you guys that know me, is something that I'm super passionate about. Um, and this is my first ever podcast that I've hosted. Um, Luckily, it's with my organization that I love dearly. I think we've been going now for 6 months, 5 months.
Five,
Um,
6 months, yeah.
yeah, and we've seen some pretty good growth all over the place. And again, that's something to be happy about, but also can't settle. Right? Can't settle. We got to keep going, keep it moving, and I guess to dive into that, or with not settling, is to truthfully be successful. I guess you have to set a standard on which you want what you would consider being successful.
Hmm.
But for most people, you have to stay hungry. You have to keep going. Um, shout out Mike Stud. He's a big keep going guy.
Yep.
I love that from him. He's also pretty motivational. He's also
Yeah, he's
he was
plugged
an
in a
athlete too.
lot.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
No, Mike Stud played for. He was pitched for Duke. Blew out his elbow,
Mm,
and then he started making music and went down there. There's no limit on what you can do. Yeah, exactly, Spear. I mean, as long as you put your mind to it, and I think that's the beautiful thing about this world today. Like we were talking about, a big. I feel like a big topic is should you go to school? Should you not go to school? Should you go to a tech school because it's shorter? You can get a good paying
hmm
job, whatever it may be. No one can truly answer that but you. I mean, I went to a tech school, had a situation, had to leave, and then I've went to regular university, had a lot of fun there. Some would say too much fun. That's probably why I don't have a degree. Um, but no, I mean,
Full
truthfully,
transparency.
yeah, we're just gonna throw it out there, but no, I mean, to be honest, like
Love it.
like you said, Slush, I just wasn't passionate about my schoolwork because I just didn't like. I went for physical education, and the only thing I was
Okay.
truly passionate about was coaching. So when we were doing all the classwork crap and the paperwork, and I did not care about that. I was like, I literally just want a degree so that I can coach kids because that's where I
hmm
do my teaching is coaching kids. Now that I've gotten
Yeah.
this space, I feel um like that coaching side of me definitely shows when trying to handle a situation or motivate someone, or there's so many different personalities out there.
Yeah.
um and that was the same thing. I've coached a year of high school baseball, I coached a year of high school football, coached 3 or 4 years of youth tackle football, which was probably the most challenging, to be honest, because high school kids, a little tougher skin, you can kind of get onto them. But again, like there's different people out there, right? So Slush might be okay with me saying, "Hey, pick it up. You're lazy and I don't like it." And then there might be someone else where I tell them that and they're like, "I'm going to show you lazy." And they're just completely shut down. So, I think that's
Yeah.
something that transfers over, but yeah, if you're not truly passionate about something, it's gonna show. It's gonna show to you. It's gonna show to you to the ones around you,
hmm
and in the work you do. So if you're not passionate about something, then all in all, I mean, to keep it a buck, you're just wasting your time, really.
Yeah. Well, it's also going to show to the people that pay you.
Yeah,
So,
true.
I mean, if you're not passionate and you're, like you said, you're being lazy, like my favorite word is complacency. There's too many people, no matter where you go, where people get complacent and they essentially whatever they were doing prior, they just stop doing,
Mm,
and they get comfortable. And that's the number one thing I think that'll help people get out of any ruts, any plateaus, anything. Like if you're noticing that you're taking more steps back than forward, you have to figure out, are you being complacent? Are you basically taking shortcuts?
mm,
And stop doing that. Like whatever you were doing prior to get the job, whatever you're doing prior to get the girlfriend, like keep doing those things because that's what's going to not only win you the job, but it's going to keep the job.
yeah,
I've seen it in the professional realm, people getting complacent, letting things get in the way, and them not fighting back. And unfortunately, they don't have a job anymore. And
yeah,
that's the way it kind of goes. So people notice tendencies. Like if someone's killing it and rocking it, and you just stop doing those things, people's gonna notice. It may be your peers, but more than likely, it's gonna be the people that's actually writing those signatures on your deposit slips or checks. So that's another key thing.
yeah,
That's at least what I think about. I always think about not only I want to provide for the two dogs that I have. I want to provide for my girlfriend. I want to provide for myself, obviously. Like I have wants and needs. You know what I mean? Like I want to get the new car. I want to get a home up here. Obviously, Seattle, Washington, though, very expensive. So
yeah.
we'll see. We'll see on that
Well,
front.
wants and needs are obviously two separate
Yes.
things, and so I mean, sometimes all of us have had a time of weakness where maybe the wants go above the needs sometimes and put you in a pickle. But it happens and you learn from it. Spear said, "College is not for everyone. I was a truck driver for a long time, then switched jobs to the IT world. I also have a thing I tell myself and kids: you have to learn something new every day." Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said,
Yep.
college, there and any like entrepreneurship now is such a huge thing, and some of it is bull crap. All right, let's be honest here. Some people that are entrepreneur, it's bull crap. Okay, but other than that, I mean, like there's so many different directions you can go with entrepreneurship, and like I, for example, my buddy Bobby that played football at Northwest, he got a business degree. He works for UPS now as a driver. He doesn't use that degree, and nothing against him. He finished school. He's also a 3-time national championship, so that's not too bad either. I mean, you know, he got to experience a lot of things that people didn't. But my thing is too is there's probably millions of stories out there of people that go, they finish this, they get this degree, don't use it whatsoever. So it's just, I mean, it's that is a weighted question whether college is worth it or not. Because is it? Yes, in certain extent it is. I believe that there's some degrees out there that like they're just not. There's in a perfect world, whether like you know a doctor or this or that, like something that involves somebody's life would be something you go to school for. And other than that, if you're like, hey, if you want to be an architect, here's a firm. This guy's an architect, and he's going to just teach you everything he knows. He's going to break it down for you, and we're just going step by step, right? That would be a perfect world. Like I want to do this, and then you step in and you work your way up the rank. I mean, a lot of things have those kind of things, you know, instilled in them, where there's a rank system and you kind of work your way up that ladder. But again, like there's a grind to everything. There's steps you have to take, but there's not yet a book written exactly for those steps. So if we figure out 1 through 10, well, first we're gonna be billionaires, all right, because we're gonna sell it to everybody, you know. But yeah, we'll let you guys know at a small price of $9.99 that you can you know you can buy the shirt with it for an extra $10. So I mean, we'll let you guys know when we get that figured out. But until then, Slush, thank you so much, man, for jumping on here. Really appreciate it and enjoyed the time. Before we leave, obviously my Twitter is down there, and then Slush's is over there. But is there anywhere else they can reach you, or anything else you got to say to close this out?
I would say, I mean, contact wise, Twitter is the main thing. But I would just say, like, obviously, me being the Rocket League GM slash director for Team Revenge, definitely keep tabs on the team. We're in a league called the MPL. We're competing in that. So far, we're 1-1, and I think we're doing pretty well. Obviously, we will be competing in future regionals. We're going to be competing in other like small tournaments. We've been able to place pretty decent in a couple so far, so they've definitely been representing well, and definitely enjoyed having them representing Team Revenge also. But just keep tabs on that. Definitely, Rocket League is going to be a mainstay for us, and just in my point of view, I'm very excited for the future to come. So.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So yeah, again, thank you guys. This is only episode 2. We're 2 for 2 on doing it weekly basis. So hopefully we can keep that going.
Consistency. There we go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a steps, man. It's a steps. But we're gonna look to bring people in from all over this realm, even outside of this realm. But yeah, it's not only gonna be. Even though both of our Revenge guys have absolutely killed it, we've had great conversations, great tips and pointers for all you guys that are looking for motivation or mindset tips. But yeah, again, this is truly a blessing to bring this to you guys. Hoping to consistently see it grow. So make sure you guys tell your friends about it. Make sure if you haven't dropped a follow, I think by next stream we will have alerts. Okay, so you got it's not gonna pop up right now, but just know we see you. All right, we see you. So definitely make sure you follow us. Also check out the apparel. I believe the link just popped up in the chat. And also, if you do socials, if I can type, that's our link tree. That's all of our socials. We're starting to get more consistent with posting to Instagram, TikTok, and other outlets, other social media. Yeah, click those. Exactly. Just listen to the guy. He knows what he's talking about. But we do not have a creator live at this time. So normally we would host them up, but tonight we don't have anybody live. We might start, maybe taking some votes or something at the end of streams, or throwing some ideas out there. But tonight we're just going to go ahead and end it. But again, thank you guys so much. Hope you guys have a great night, and we will see you next Monday for episode 3. See ya.